Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 3 of the Q&A. So let's do it. What's your thoughts on vitamin B12 injections for bodybuilding purposes? I don't know that it would help bodybuilders. Now this falls into one of those areas of what we call bro lore, possibly placebo. Medical literature tells us that if someone isn't B12 deficient, we shouldn't see results. However, I've known doctors who wrote prescriptions for athletes who the athletes just claim it worked. I've known athletes. I used to know a guy who competed in triathlon events, and he was in his late 40s years ago, and he used to swear by B12 injections. He swore he didn't use any anabolic drugs. He did quite well. Now, he could have been lying on the other, but he would always talk about his B12 injections, and he got them, and he would say that he could just notice a difference in his performance, and he swore by it. Now, is it the fact that maybe actually injecting something into his body gave him a placebo effect? Absolutely. Placebo is very strong. Or is there something going on with energy? Because he always claimed it gave him more stamina. He could run longer. He could cycle longer. Maybe it has something to do with more B12 deficiencies in aging athletes. I don't know. I haven't seen data to prove any of this, but I'll be damned if athletes don't swear by it. Tons of them have for decades. So what's the truth? I don't know. Maybe it's just placebo. Maybe there's something to it. I might lean more towards placebo, but it seems to be a perfectly safe placebo. B12 isn't toxic in any amount, and as long as people are using sterile injections and getting prescription grade B12 from their doctor, which a lot of doctors will prescribe it for athletes, I don't see the issue if someone wants to try it. Again, as long as it's not breaking the bank. And it's probably going to give a stronger placebo effect than any over-the-counter crap supplement, because they all work on placebo effect, because the fact that we know that when something is injected, it gives a stronger placebo effect, because people, it really gets their attention in their mind. So who knows? All right, guys, next question. If you have a large amount of body fat you want to lose, say in excess of 50 pounds, so that's a lot, is the best approach to this staying in a caloric deficit for the duration, or should there be periods of eating at maintenance? No, you need to leave refeeds for people who are getting relatively lean. If you have 50 or more pounds of body fat that you need to lose, you're obese. If you're obese, your best strategy is a continual calorie deficit, no refeeds, no maintenance days, just maintain a small calorie deficit, increase your activity all the way until you are at a healthy body fat percentage. In fact, I would say that breaking off of your diet or taking breaks or maintenance or refeeds for people who have a disordered eating, and that's why they're obese, because let's be honest, I've been obese before in my life. When you're more than 50 pounds overweight in terms of body fat, you have disordered eating. There's a psychological component to that, and if you deviate away from your diet, you're going to go off track and crash. And these are the people who've tried diet after diet after diet. No, you just need to be consistent. It has a 100% success rate. The being consistent does. So as long as you can be consistent with that deficit, you're fine. Just keep that small deficit and maintain it until you are at a healthy body fat. Then if you want to get leaner and you want to get lean enough to have those ripped abs, or you want to compete in some sport where you need to make a weight class, then you start looking more into things like refeeds and cycling through calories and stuff. But for someone who's 50 pounds overweight, no, don't do it. Waste of your time. It could sabotage you more than it will help you. All right, next question. Will taking steroids reduce the amount of fat you have? I've heard somewhere that the body burns fat to retain muscle mass that is gained, and if steroids build muscle, surely you will then burn fat faster. Well, I don't know. It depends on the steroid. People on forums will argue this till they're blue in the face, blah, blah, blah. It's your diet and cardio that burns fat, not the steroids. It's complete horseshit. Most steroids improve nutrient partitioning. We have studies showing that as long as the calorie surplus is kept small, everybody loses fat and gains muscle in a dose-dependent relationship on things like testosterone, Anavar, Anadrol, any of those. And the more they take, the more fat they lose, while on the same calories and the more muscle they gain. Now, you can gain a ton of fat on these drugs. Absolutely, hands down, undisputed. You can gain fat on them if you're eating enough surplus calories. But if you're not, they will burn calories. They actually have fat-burning properties. They do release fatty acids from your fat tissue. They shift nutrient partitioning. They shift your body more towards burning fat for fuel and less towards burning glucose. They tend to force your body to store more glucose into your muscle tissue. They have very beneficial effects for burning fat, but they're not guaranteed, but not all of them do that as well. For example, like nandrolone is amazing for maintaining lean body mass, but it doesn't seem to burn any body fat off. When taken up to even moderately high doses, and even when we put it in AIDS patients, they don't lose fat. But testosterone, anavar, anadrol, they all do. But the nandrolone, in terms of just direct muscle tissue nitrogen retention, is superior. It is very, very powerful at that. So different ones play different roles. But as far as if you mean just straight testosterone, absolutely. Dose-dependent relationship. Plenty of scientific data backing that too. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 4.